Let's start, Congresswoman Clark, with the Supreme Court's ruling blocking the deportation under the Alien Enemies Act of Venezuelan migrants the Trump administration claims are gang members. The ruling wasn't on the legality of Trump's use of the Alien Enemies Act to deport people, only that these men were entitled to more time than they were given to contest their deportations. And their removal's been barred for now, pending a new decision from a federal appeals court. What's your reaction?
Well, you know, at least the justice system still holds. At the core of this is due process, which is enshrined in our Constitution. And it's unfortunate that we have a president that is lawless and certainly does not adhere to his oath to his fidelity to the Constitution. So I'm glad that this Supreme Court rendering has come out. It's my hope that as this case continues, it will elevate the need to adhere to the laws of the land, which are enshrined in our Constitution, and that every individual that they have essentially kidnapped and taken to third-party countries is entitled to due process.
Now, Congressman Espaillat, the court took up another big case on Trump's immigration policies this week. This one on his executive orders banning birthright citizenship for the U.S.-born children of migrants and visitors. Nearly 24 states have sued the administration over that order, leading to nationwide injunctions from federal district court judges that the Trump administration argued are beyond their authority. They also teased the idea that the government could start requiring proof of U.S. citizenship from the parents of all newborns. What did you take away from the High Court's hearing on this matter this week?
Sorry, Reverend. We're very concerned about this birthright citizenship issue. We feel that Trump is trying to unleash what I termed a constitutional civil war, where at the end of the day, some states may protect U.S.-born children and give them the rights and privileges extended by the Constitution, and other states would deny it to them. So this is a very troubling executive order, and we're hoping that the Supreme Court would strike down any and all possibilities that this becomes law. Now, Rev, I was in Monterrey, Mexico last weekend, where I met with a family, a couple with 4 U.S.-born children that were deported, including a 10-year-old little girl who has a very severe brain cancer condition. And she's now not receiving the health care that she needs because she was deported with her mom and dad. Wow. So this is the state of affairs in America, where U.S.-born children are being deported, where potentially U.S.-born kids will be denied citizenship. So we got to push back.
Now, the Trump administration has been using its migrant purge as an excuse as it targets Democratic politicians and other critics. Newark Mayor Ras Baraka had a hearing this week on trespassing charges. He spoke with us about it last week, about his arrest outside of a detention center. Churches around his state is praying for him and stating things tomorrow morning. We are still waiting to see if Congresswoman Monica McKeever will also face charges related to that incident. There are local reports they could be coming. And we're learning former FBI Director James Comey was interviewed by the U.S. Secret Service for a social media post the administration claimed threatened the president. These seem like intimidation tactics. But will they work? Congresswoman Clark, you first, then you, Congressman Espaillat.
Certainly. Let me just say that, first of all, it's Congresswoman LaMonica McIver of Newark, New Jersey. And, you know, this is critical that we have a sitting president who has a Department of Justice that would go after a sitting member of Congress who was simply doing her job. You know, for there to be this overreach in the executive branch.
Let me, you're breaking up a little, Congresswoman. Let me go to you, Chairman Espaillat, for your view on the same question.
Yeah, these intimidation tactics are trying to be, sort of like pushed through by this administration to muscle their way through. But, Monday, Reverend, the Congressional Hispanic Caucus members will have a day of action Monday morning and several days after, where we will visit those immigration detention centers within our respective districts. I will be going to one in this New York, New Jersey area with other congressional members. And we have the right and duty to ensure that things are right there, that people's rights are not being violated, that the conditions there are humane, that there is no abuse. And of course, the mayor of Newark and members of Congress that were there last weekend were just there because they felt the proper paperwork and permitting had not been issued for that mega prison, which could have the potential to hold 1,000 detainees, right, for that facility to be open. So we will push forward. We will not be silenced. We will not be muscled.
And as some would argue, you're doing your job. But let me go to this. On Friday, the Republican-dominated House Budget Committee voted against sending the president's big, beautiful bill to the floor for a full vote. The House GOP has been trying to pass the bill for months in order to fund the president's agenda. Despite that, it was Republican deficit hawks on the Budget Committee who voted no on advancing it because they want even deeper spending cuts to reduce the deficit and pay for Trump's tax cuts. And some of their GOP colleagues don't want to go that far. If it means cuts to popular programs like Medicaid, even with all of the infighting, Republicans' leadership still hopes to get this bill passed before Memorial Day weekend next week. What do you make of this, Congressman?
Well, obviously, some of the fiscal hawks want even deeper cuts, but what they're proposing right now will take away Medicaid and healthcare from 8.6 million people. It will cut $3 billion from SNAP, from the food stamp program, and impose work requirements for women that are receiving food stamps. This kind of action has obviously impacted the economy to the degree that there was a credit downgrade just recently for our economy. And if implemented, what their fiscal shenanigans, it will lead to a $3.3 trillion deficit increase moving forward. So this is a fiscal malpractice, but it's not enough for them. They want to even cut more. So we'll see what happens this week, but we will be fighting back against Medicaid cuts. Many Republicans have gone out and say that they will not cut Medicaid, but in fact, they're planning to do that, and they will have to answer to their constituents.
Now, Congressman, the president wrapped up his tour of the Middle East this week without much to show for it besides several business deals and a lot of arguing about a $400 million jetliner. Otherwise, he failed to get a peace deal on Gaza or with Iran, and it appears that there wouldn't be movement on ending Russia's war in Ukraine until Trump said today he would speak separately with Russian President Vladimir Putin, Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky, and various members of NATO. On Monday, he says, about a possible ceasefire in Ukraine. It looks to me like he came away from last week's trip with very little. And now he's trying to strike some kind of deal on Ukraine to make up for it. What do you think, Congressman?
Well, first and foremost, we see how his foreign policy has not yielded any results. So no peace in the Ukraine. He's being played by Putin. No peace in the Middle East. He went to the Saudis and he got them to make some investment, but no commitment to a peace agreement. In fact, what he does come back with is a potential violation of the emoluments clause if he chooses to accept the jet that they're offering him. So this is why he comes back with a potential violation of the emoluments clause and some investments by the Saudis in the U.S. economy, but certainly not a major commitment to peace either in Ukraine or in the Middle East.